Okay, guys, this is going to affect millions of Americans as they're going to be cutting billions of dollars from federal government spending. Some people think this is good. Some people think this is bad when it hits their pockets. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this, but we're getting information here. It's coming in literally by the hour here. And well, here's what we're starting to see. We're getting Republican sides and Democratic sides. Yeah, let me know your thoughts here on this. Take a look. Okay, first up, the House Republicans prepared to slash federal programs in the coming budget showdown for billions and billions of dollars. Now, this could potentially take money directly out of people's pockets. And we've seen this happen with millions and millions of people just literally days ago with the SNAP benefits that ended, the enhanced SNAP benefits for millions of Americans that ended at the end of February, just days ago. Okay, these was the pandemic bonuses, and February is going to be the last month for those millions of Americans. It's literally about half the states that were still sending that out. A minimum of $95 a month per family gone. That's just the first part of what's gone here now. 18 million Americans on Medicaid going to be ending here as well, maybe more. That's coming here soon. That's starting now. Yeah, now we're looking at even more. Now, this is part of the negotiations because Republicans and Democrats are going to push back because what's going to happen here is that Democrats aren't going to like a lot of what the Republicans are saying, and Republicans aren't going to like a lot of what the Democrats are saying. But the problem is, if they don't come together, they won't be able to pass the debt limit ceiling, they won't be able to pass the budget, and we'll see government shutdowns, government default, which is much, much worse. And we can't have a government default. Just literally, just can't happen. Our entire economy could collapse. It's never happened before. And it would be literally our dollar would collapse. It'd be like the worst thing ever. It's much, much worse than a government shutdown. We've never had it happen. Okay. But take a look at what Republicans are already starting to propose here. Hard right Republicans in the House are readying a plan to gut the nation's foreign aid budget and make deep cuts to health care, food assistance, and housing programs for poor Americans in their drive to balance the federal budget as the party toils to coalesce around a plan that will deliver on their promise to slash spending. And a lot of this is going to hit low and middle income Americans. Republicans are ready this week to condemn President Joe Biden's budget, which, number one, he wants to save billions of dollars by cutting drug prices, which is one I think most people can agree upon, except for maybe some Republicans. I don't know why this hasn't been passed. Um, Besides what the Democrats passed in the Inflation Reduction Act and drug company Eli Lilly actually stepping up to the plate on their own just a few days ago. Eli Lilly to cut insulin prices by 70% and cap monthly costs at $35 in the private market. Literally did this on their own because of political pressure and stuff nonetheless, but they didn't have to do this. Bravo to them to actually step up and do this on their own. You don't see this very often. So I was actually pretty impressed with this company, multi-billion-dollar company, right? But to actually do this life-saving drug, people die literally all the time because they can't afford insulin. So Eli Lilly stepped up to the plate and made this happen. Remember that last year or 2 years, yeah, a year or two ago, they needed 10 Republicans to vote on this to make it $35 in the private healthcare insurance market because the Democrats passed it in the Inflation Reduction Act and made it $35 for Medicare, and only 7 Republicans would vote for it. They needed 3 more Republicans to vote for it, and out of 50, only 7 of them voted for it. But now Republicans are saying that some of the most conservative Republicans are pursuing cuts that they concede could cause political pain and blowback among their own colleagues. Republican Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina says there is going to be a gnashing of teeth as the arch conservative member of the House Budget Committee, as the Republican majority works to produce its spending blueprint. He says, quote, "It's not going to be a pretty process, but that's how it should be." As they met privately to develop their plan, Republicans say they are relying heavily on a budget outline developed by Russell T. Voigt, the former Trump administration budget director who leads the far right Center for Renewing America. In an interview, Voigt said it made strategic sense to shift away from politically impregnable Social Security and Medicare and instead target an array of programs that conservatives have criticized for years. Quote, "We're in a total strategic cul-de-sac on the right, and our fiscal warriors and strategists have totally failed in the sense that, point to any cuts we've had success-wise since 1997. I actually think that's the worst part of federal spending because it's bureaucracy. I'm not saying you can balance on discretionary alone, but a work requirement for food stamp program is a lot easier to sell than premium support." The outline includes a 45% cut to foreign aid, adding work requirements to food stamps, the SNAP program, and Medicaid beneficiaries, a 43% cut to housing programs, including phasing out the Section 8 program that pays a portion of monthly rent costs for low income people. So including phasing out the Section 8 program that pays a portion of monthly rent costs for low income people. That's interesting. I wonder if they're talking about phasing out Section 8 completely or not. Cutting the FBI's counterintelligence budget by nearly half. Boy, the Republicans really got it out for the FBI, even though he's head by a Republican that was appointed by Trump. And eliminating Obamacare expansions to Medicaid to save tens of billions of dollars, which pretty much just goes out to low income Americans. Nearly 40 states have accepted federal funding for expansion under the Affordable Care Act, providing health care coverage for an estimated 12 million individuals living near or below the poverty line. The proposal would also eliminate the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Pentagon, cut $3.4 billion in State Department migration and refugee assistance, and make Pell Grants available only to students whose family cannot contribute any money towards a college education. It'll be interesting to see how they actually figure that out. I'm assuming they're just going to go by income made, but yeah. Adding work requirements to a program like food stamps is a given, according to Norman. And they said, we're, quote, "We're $32 trillion in debt. We've got to get people back to work and get the economy going." But that's a double-edged sword. Well, first of all, the U.S. unemployment rate just hit its lowest unemployment rate since 1969. Let me see here. That's 31 years plus 23. So that's 54 years. So it's the lowest unemployment rate in 54 years. So it's not like people aren't working, right? And then the problem with this is that if more jobs happen, the Fed, Jerome Powell, is going to have an absolute fit and could keep raising interest rates. He does not want to see the economy speeding up, which causes inflation. And if he sees inflation staying high, and the board of directors that vote on this, they'll keep raising interest rates even more, which, if you just watched my video on that, he got absolutely grilled at this congressional hearing I'll link you to that video here. You can see the actual interview where they're talking about millions of people can lose their jobs because of the decisions that the Fed is doing. Absolutely insane. It's such a good video here. In fact, I'll link you to that video here in just a moment. But um, so there's a lot of unintended consequences here. Well, first of all, and it's interesting here when they talk about budget cuts. If you just want to ask people on the street, oh, should the government cut spending? Everybody's like, oh, probably like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then they realize, or maybe they don't realize, or you realize after we talk about it, that a lot of it comes right out of people's pockets, low and middle income people's pockets. You guys can let me know your thoughts. Now, this is where the Republicans and Democrats are going to disagree, because President Biden is already starting to propose taxing the wealthy, and taxing the wealthy, and also some corporate taxes as well. We're going to have to see what comes out here later today and tomorrow, and I'll post an update video here for you guys on that probably tomorrow. On stock buybacks from corporations, because literally these corporations are just kind of hoarding the money and then giving it back to stockholders, and so they're going to try to raise taxes there and raise taxes on the wealthy. Problem is, the Republicans don't want to go for that because they said that taxes have already been raised on the wealthy here just a few years ago. So yeah, and then the Republicans are saying, okay, we want to cut from all these what they call social handout programs, and if they don't come to a consensus, there'll be no voting there. No, they won't come to an agreement, and then we'll have government shutdowns, and the debt limit won't get raised, and we could see a default by our country. The other problem is that they got to fix Social Security and Medicare, which they haven't done in years. And we know that the Social Security and Medicare Trust Fund is literally running out of money as we're speaking. And they've known this for decades, okay? The last change they made to it was in the Reagan administration, and they raised the Social Security retirement age, which technically is a cut, okay? This was meant you actually get less benefits, and you had to wait more years to get your benefits. Now they're potentially talking about raising the age again to age 70, which is technically a cut because you would have to wait longer and not get your money. And if you take it earlier, you would get less money. It's a cut. That's just one of the solutions. And if they don't do anything, Social Security will run out of money at some point. And they'll have this. If you watch my interview previously in the video right before this, Senator Joe Manchin said that in their automatic cuts would happen because literally just money wouldn't be there. So the Congressional Budget Office says in as early as 9 years, this could happen. So I'll keep you up to date here. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And if you appreciate these videos, don't forget to hit the like button for us. It helps with the YouTube algorithm in promoting our videos to new viewers. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and then the bell icon that appears after you subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. I'll keep you up to date here. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's some videos you can watch next. Here's that really good video about what Congress just said to Federal Chairman Jerome Powell. It's going to affect millions of Americans, and the interview's in here. Really good video. And here's a video about 2 new bills to save Social Security and Medicare in 2023. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.